5. So, first off, what?
No. Really? Here, you want your pen back?
Yeah. What is slope? Rise of a run. I did. What is the rise? What is rise? What does it mean? Yeah, Baker.
Up. Down. Like, do you want me to say what I did this morning?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, it's y2 minus y1.
No way to think of it, right? The change in y, change in x, we talked about delta?
Yes. Cool. The triangle's crap.
Okay. So the change in y, the change in x, that's what delta means, right? That Greek letter delta. Change is the same thing as distance, right? How we've changed between 2 points. What you need to explain, other than having all this, is you need to be able to tell me what this means, right? So the bottom part here represents what? Horizontal change or horizontal distance. I'll accept either. Distance is subtraction. X's are horizontal, right? And then the top part represents what kind of distance? Vertical distance. Right, blah, 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 blah. Yes, I can. Sorry. That's the idea, right? Then it says write slope-intercept form of a linear equation and identify the parts. Which one's the slope-intercept form? It's the one with the slope and the intercept, right? M and B, right? So y equals mx plus b. Now we're going to identify each part. Let me zoom out. Sorry, I have people that can't see in my other hours, so I'm zoomed in all the time. M is slope because parlez-vous français, right? And then B is our intercept. What intercept is it?
Y.
I ask the questions.
Hot dad joke.
Yep. X and Y are our coordinates, right? I'll zoom out again. X and Y are the coordinates. Cool? All right. And the coordinates vary, right? Because it's whatever the line wants it to be. 3, write the point slope form of a linear equation and identify each part. Point slope is what we did the other day. It's the one with the point and the slope in it. Parker, how do we take this and make it into point slope? Yeah, we move that entire bottom over by multiplication. So it's going to be m times x2 minus x1, the quantity, right? Equals y2 minus y1, so I'm going to write that. You can't see it? Right, if I move that back over, it'd be division, right? That's just slope formula. Now, to write it out, how we did it where this was h and this was k. M is the slope. H and k are a coordinate that's on our, or a point that's on our line, right? So these two are h and k. And then x and y represent the change, right? X and y are variable, meaning that they could be any point that's on that line. So once again, we have our point. Well, let's just call it xy. Do you guys get the idea that x and y really aren't that important to label? They're really not. That's not what I want here, okay? I just figured you guys would ask, well, what are those, right? What are those? Are we good? Doable? Do we see how we don't have to memorize this? Yep, that happened. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you did. All right, so do we see how we don't have to memorize this? It just comes from this for free. Right? You get it for free. Guys. Do you see how you get that for free? Or this for free from this? It's free real estate. All right. That's Tim and Eric Awesome show. Great job. Fantastic show. Similar to Eric Andre's show. You ever watched the Eric Andre show? You would. You would. Eric Andre? All right. Find the slope between the points, and then write it in point-slope form. Finally, write it in slope-intercept. So first we need to find the slope. How do we find the slope between 2 points?
y2, y1.
That's what we just did, right? y2 minus y1, or ask yourself about the change, right? If I'm on -2 and I move to -1, how did I change? I added 1, right? If I'm on 0 and I move to -2, how did I change? -2. So my slope can be written lots of ways, but I'm going to write it like this with the negative on the outside. So I'm supposed to write it as a point-slope form and slope-intercept form. So let's write it in point-slope form. Well, point-slope form is this, right? It's m times the quantity of x minus h equals y minus k. Remember that from the page before? H and k are our point. So which point do you want to use? How about 0, -2? You smell what I'm stepping in? Yeah. So I'm going to write this. X minus 0, because remember h is the one that goes with the x, and k is the one that goes with the y. So minus the -2?
Plus 2.
Yeah, exactly. It changes the sign, right? We talked about how that gives us the negative versions, right? So if I take that, that's point-slope form. Then they say write it in slope-intercept. Slope-intercept's the one with the slope and the intercept, right? How do we take that? Yeah. Remember, you said, where is he? Skylar said the other day, we distribute that -1/2, and that's going to get it in slope-intercept form, right? Y plus 2, I'm going to move over the 2 by subtracting, okay? And I'm going to distribute the -1/2. I'm doing it all at once, guys. Brace with me. What's -1/2 times x? -1/2x. And then the 0 just goes away, right? And I moved over the 2 by subtraction. There's slope-intercept form.
Wow.
If you want to, you could write it nicer. Right? Same dumb crap. You dig? You smell what I'm stepping in?
Yes.
Okay. Get it in point slope first, because that's what they give you, right? They give the slope. And then get into the y-intercept. Feel like you could do those? You want to do another one? Okay. Look at number 5. Let's find the slope for number 5. Starting at 7 and going to 9, what did I do? Up to. Starting at 6 and going to 6. 0 change. So what kind of slope is this? Undefined, which is vertical slope, right? So undefined. Now, how do I write that in point slope form? I can't, can I? But I do need to write the equation. Nope, divide by 0 means undefined. We're not allowed to have that. If 0's on top, it would be fine. Okay? So here's what we're going to do. Vertical line. It goes through the points 6, 9, and 6, 7. So what do those 2 points have in common? X is 6, right? So if I were to graph that, here's 6, 9, here's 6, 7, right? Vertical line. All the points there have x for 6, right? So the equation would be x equals 6. Done. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? Yes. That can be a really tough question if you don't know what it means. It can be really easy if you know what you're talking about, right? If I gave that to a calc student, it would blow their mind because all they know is how to follow the steps, right? And they might remember slope formula, maybe, right? But you guys know what it means. Vertical line. It's a vertical line, right? The equation is going to be x equals 6 because all of the coordinates are going to have 6 for x.
So whatever x is. So like, say we have a number one, but the x is 7 when x equals.
Think about it. I have a vertical line that goes through 6, 7 and 6, 9. There's 6, there's 9, there's 7, so says me. So it's a vertical line, right? We can't write it in y equals mx plus b form because that requires a slope, and our slope is undefined. You cannot write it that way. So we have to think of another way to write it. This line is the line that has all the points where x is 6. We have 6 comma 0 here, 6 comma 7 here, 6 comma 9 here. So the line's equation is x equals 6. It's where x is always 6. If I were to draw a line like this at -2, that's the line where y is always -2. Because every point in this line is -2 for y. 1 comma -2, 2 comma -2, 3 comma -2. You smell what I'm stepping in? Now that's not part of this question. I was just doing it for instance. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? No.
Yep.
Hold on one second. Hold on. Don't flip the page yet. Turn to 14. Question 14, number 4. Okay, this is for you. Anybody that said they didn't know what I was talking about, I think this might help. Let's try that, okay? First of all, it says find the slope. That's what we were doing, right? If I'm on -3 and I'm going to 4, how did I change? Think carefully. I added 7, right? -3, add 3 to get to 0, add 4 more to get to 4. We went up 7 total. Starting at 6, ending on 6, 0. Is everybody cool how I got those? That is an undefined slope because we're not allowed to divide by 0. Undefined slope isn't 0 slope, right? That's a horizontal line. Undefined is vertical. So we're talking about a vertical line here. Now it says we're going to graph this line. Well, here's how we're going to graph it. They gave us some points, right?
Yeah.
Why not plot those points and connect them? So the points they gave us are 6, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, -3. Do you see how those make a vertical line?
Yes.
Now we can't write that as y equals mx plus b because our slope is undefined. It breaks math. We can't have anything with a slope in it. Okay? So to write the equation, we need to ask ourselves, what do all these points have in common?
They all have x has 6.
Close. All of these points, let's map them out, right? We've got 6 comma 0 here. We've got 6 comma 1 here. This looks like 6 comma -3. This looks like 6 comma 4. What do they all have in common? X is 6, right? So the equation is x is 6. It's the line where x is always 6. Now pause for a second. Don't flip the page, okay? Don't. Okay. I don't like the order this packet is in. All right, pause. I'm using a different example, okay? This is not for this problem. If I give you y equals 2x plus 1, that means it's the line where when you double x and add 1, it gets you y, right? It tells you about a relationship between x and y. Here, there's no relationship between x and y. X is always 6, y does whatever it wants. So there's no y equals mx plus b version, right? There's no relationship between them. X is always 6, y could be anything. So x is 6 is the equation. You smell them stepping in? Okay. And then it says, is the slope vertical, horizontal, or positive? Right, we know the equation is x equals 6. What's our slope here? Vertical, horizontal, or positive? Vertical. Undefined slope is vertical. Vertical lines are not functions, yes.
So like on the question he wants to undefine and then the formula, like vocal and use wants to like
Do what?
do you want to like write undefined and then the formula is just the formula?
Undefined and then the equation?
Yeah.
Both. Let's look at number 9. It says find the slope using the 2 points. We can do that graphically, can't we? You could plug those coordinates into the formula, or how about we start here? What did I do?
Go down.
Down 1.
Down 1, And what was my run? 3 to the right. So is that positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. So my slope is going to be -1 over 3. And all it said was find the point, or the slope, right?
So you don't care if you only use the equation or the formula?
Nope. You want to find the equation for fun? Let's do it. Y equals -1/3 x plus b, right? We don't know what the y-intercept is, but we can find it. How can we find the y-intercept? Well, first of all, we could look, but that's kind of gross. I can tell you what it's going to be. It's going to be -4/3. But how can we find b? Well, we know that that point's on our line, right? Both these points. That point is -1, -1. That means whatever the equation is for this line, when I plug in -1 for x, what pops out for y? -1. So whatever this is, when I plug in -1 for x, it gets me -1 for y. Meaning that we can figure out what b is, right? What does b have to be for this to pop out -1? Well, if I do math, I get -1 times -1/3, which is +1/3. Subtract 1/3. How many thirds are in the number 1? 3/3 minus 1/3 is -4/3. So y would be -1/3 x minus 4/3. Sorry, I put the minus sign down here. That's the equation. Did I ask you for that on this one? No. But that is the equation, and that's how you can figure it out. I plugged in one of the points to see what b had to be, right?
Wait, but 1 minus this -4/3 compared to +1/3. Because it's
-1, we're subtracting 1/3, so it's -3/3. Minus another third is -4/3.
yeah, but it's minus -4/3, so why after you make that positive? Because it's subtracting a negative.
We're not subtracting a negative, we're adding a negative, plus b. This is mx plus b form, right? Slope-intercept. It's not point slope.
It's because I saw the two negatives, like 1 by the 4 and 1 by the 9. Because you wrote the...
Oh, right, yeah. No. Yep, I just wrote the negative on the outside. That way it's, yeah, cool. How do you feel about finding the slope of these guys? Easy if you know what you're doing, right? What's the slope for number 10 going to be? 3 over 2, right? Okay. Could you find the equation for this one just for fun? Down 3, looks like left 2 because I started at the top. Right, our slope is 3/2. The equation, well, what's the y-intercept? They give it to you. What is it? -3. So y equals 3/2 x minus 3 is the equation. Yay, easy. When it's not, go solve for it. Plug in one of your points, right? How you feel? Dece? Turn the page. Let's look at 12. Find the slope. Graph the line. Tell whether it's vertical, horizontal, positive, or negative. All right, let's find the slope. Could we use the formula? Sure, but if you know what it means, you could just do it in your head. I'm going from 5 to 2, so how much did I change vertically? Down 3. I'm going from 2 to -5. How much did I change horizontally? I went left 7, so -7. So in other words, our slope is 3/7. Now I want to find the equation that goes through that, right? So I know y equals 3/7 x plus b, right? If we plug in one of our points, can't we figure out what b has to be? Sure, that's one way to do it. The other way is I know those points are on my line, right? So why not graph them and draw a line? And then figure out what the y-intercept is. Could do that. I'm going to plug in x and y. Let's use this one because they're both positive. So I'm going to plug in 2 for x whenever we plug something and we wrap it, right? and then 5 for y. Let's solve and find out what b is. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in here? Why I'm doing that? Okay. Multiplying fractions, we have options. We can either times by the top or divide by the bottom first. Which do you want to do first? Multiply by the top. What's 3 times 2? So we have 6/7 plus b equals 5. How many sevenths are in 5? Because we got to subtract that, right? How many sevenths are in the number 5? Can you do it? Jace? 35 sevenths, right? And again, when you make that guess, ask yourself, is 35 divided by 7 5? Is it? Is 35 divided by 7 5?
Yeah.
Then we didn't change the problem. We just wrote it in a different way, right? It's still 5. It's just a different way of looking at it. But now we can actually do this math in our head, right? 35 minus 6. How many sevenths is that? 35 minus 6. 29, right? Think of it this way. 35 minus 5, 30. Subtract one more, 29. So our y-intercept was 29 sevenths, which is gross. So we have y equals 3/7 x plus 29 sevenths. That's our line. Now you're thinking, oh God, I don't want to graph that. All you have to do is plot those 2 points and draw a line. Don't do, oh, y-intercept's 29 over 7. Right? We're going to go up 3 over... No. Plot your 2 points and go. Negative 5, 2 is this point right here. And 2 comma 5 is here. There's your line. Go. What do you think? $29 over 7. Estimate that for me. Jace.
4.
A little bit over 4, right? 4 and a seventh, right? Because 7 goes into 28 evenly 4 times, right? So a little bit over 4. Does our line cross at a little bit over 4? Yeah. So little bit that it looks like it crosses exactly at 4, right? That's why it's good to check the math. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your quiz.
They said this would take the whole period.
It could have. Also, trust no one, my first rule. Do you want to see any more 4 through 8? Find the slope, put it in point slope form. Want to see another one? Okay, let's look at 6. Slope. I feel like we're getting pretty good at figuring out the slope. I'm at -5, and I went to 1. Or 7, -5.
75.
Ooh, daring.
4 and 1.
4 and 1 is easier. If I plug in 4 and 1 here, I get -4 and -1, right? Awesome. Right? -4 and -1 is what happens with the minus sign, right? Change the sign. If I do it Caden's way, I get this. -7 here, and a +5 there. Do we see why that is? Now, that's one way of doing it. I could have also done it the other way, right? -2 quantity of x minus 4 equals y minus 1. Let's see if they come out to the same thing, or at least when I get them into slope-intercept, they should be the same, right? Because the intercept's always going to be the same, right? It's only going to hit the y-axis at one part, and it's always going to have the same slope. So are these the same? Let's see if it works. We distribute the negative, right? So we get -2x. Negative and negative makes a. So we get 14. Get y on its own. We get y equals, I'm subtracting the 5, -2x plus 9. Is it cool that I flipped that while I did it?
Yeah.
If these come out to the same thing, then both should be valid. Right? This guy is -2x, +8, -2x plus 9 equals y, and if I flip it, I get this. Aw, yeah. Both are valid. You're valid. Okay? Your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, they're valid. Caden, you're valid too. What? Number 7? Yes, I can. I hope so. Number 7. Our slope. What's the change vertically? No change. Now, as long as there's not a 0 change on the bottom, I know my slope is 0, right? So let's check the bottom. Is there 0 change here? No, there's change. So it's going to be some number. It's going to be not -1, right? But who cares? Because 0 over anything is 0. So our slope is 0. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? The change here wasn't 0, so it's not undefined. It's -1. 0 divided by -1 is 0. So our slope is 0. It's going to be a horizontal line, right? So our slope is 0. So we have 0 for the slope times x minus h equals y minus k. Fun fact, what's 0 times anything? So this entire side is 0, right? I don't even need to plug in h. What's k? Which one do you want to use for k? -5, right? It's our only choice either way, right? If I plug in -5, I get a +5 here. Get y on its own. Y equals -5. It's like what we were doing earlier, right? Where we have like y equals a number, x equals a number. Well, this is a horizontal line, so y equals -5. It's all the points where y is -5. Here's -5. Here's all the points that also have y equals -5, right? 1 -5, 2 -5, 3 -5. Horizontal line. You know what it means. Good job.
Ow.
8. Look at it. What kind of a line is it going to be? Think about it. Think about it. 8. What kind of line is that going to be? Ignore the L1. Sorry. All lines are straight. There's no change in the bottom, x direction, right? What line has no change in the x direction? Yeah, no change this way means it's this, vertical. I know what you meant. I know what you meant. So it's a vertical line. Right? No change in the x, vertical.
I think I'm dehydrated.
Let me help you. Why?
It's because it's a big green light. It tends to go on orange and then back and forth sometimes.
Yeah, that's the stream connection. I'm worried that these live streams I did today have gone like to yellow, orange, and red, that they're going to be like really choppy. I will do my best to remember to check on that before I leave the school, and I'll upload the recording that I'm doing to make sure it's smooth, which will take forever. And I can't leave because the internet randomly turns off at like 3:45-ish. So that's always fun, uploading videos and then to come back and nothing's uploaded. Yeah. I guess I could upload at home. Yeah, I'll get practice. Yeah, it looks like the internet's going in now. Like, you know, at front and back, x equals -6. What does that look like? Well, all the points where x is -6, vertical, right? -6, comma 1, -6, comma 2, -6, comma 3 will be there, right? It's vertical. Yeah.
So it has to be.
Yeah.
Aren't you in there to fix work?
That's it. What they do in their Vandermeis plan was to do the lessons, the instruction first, and then do the projects later, the Desmos stuff. I don't know if he does the Desmos. We kind of just do our own thing,
Last
right?
year he did.
But he has projects for him, right? My thought was if I do Desmos first, I think you guys will get a better understanding for what it looks like conceptually, and then when we do the algebra, which is a bunch of numbers, you'll understand what it means, right? So we should be ending the unit at the same time he is. I think he's already done his tests, but he's doing projects afterwards. We did projects first. Huh?
There's the tests today.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to take our quiz tomorrow, which will basically be our test. I run things differently, right? So, but I think you guys are going to demolish this thing. Okay? It can be easy if you know what you're doing. So make sure you know what you're doing so you can knock it out of the park. Okay? This is the first grade on quarter 2.
Oh, God.
Yeah. If you don't know what's going on, come see me. I'll try to be here tomorrow morning. With the snow, I don't know. I got to get new tires. So, okay? Gian, no one likes you.
I know. I figured that one out a while ago.
Negative 5 minus 1 is positive, right? 7 minus 4 is minus 2. Negative 2 is slope. Negative 2 here. You put in 7, you put in 5 as this. That's it. 14 minus 5 is 9. So the easy part. You nailed all the hard stuff. Yeah, stop touching her. Why are you bullying people?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Also, no one dressed up as me. No one in here. Oh no, lots of people did. Just no one in here. That's how it is.
I just don't have the time.
There's still tomorrow. Tomorrow's technically